It's another sleepless night for Australian sugarcane farmer Albert Pennisi.
Albert Pennisi started to have this recurring dream that something unusual, like a flying saucer, was going to land on the property.
I'll be right back.
And just like in his dream, Albert's dog won't stop barking.
This was sort of uncharacteristic, but Albert's dog sort of went berserk.
What you got there, boy?
The dog seems disturbed by something on the property, but Albert sees nothing out of place. A few hours later, Albert's hard at work when his neighbor, George Pedley, passes by en route to his field.
Hey, George.
Whole lot of yapping going on over there.
Oh, that dog won't stop.
You all right?
He's been giving me nightmares.
All right, take care, mate.
Hey.
George Pedley was a 28-year-old banana farmer, and he lived adjacent to the Albert Pennisi farm.
He would use Albert's property as a shortcut to go from one property to the next.
On his way, George Pedley drives by one of Albert's lagoons.
As George approached the lagoon, he started to hear what sounded like a high-pitched noise. He couldn't figure it out. He thought it might have been his tyre losing air or something like that. But then he realised it was coming from the location of the lagoon itself. Horseshoe Lagoon, it's a tidal horseshoe-shaped lagoon, and its normal appearance is basically it's chock-a-block full of what's called locally swordgrass. You didn't have too many open areas of water.
It's unclear to George where exactly the sound is coming from. George hears something moving through the reeds.
George is not somebody who's prone to flights of fancy. And it's at that point that he notices the flying saucer.
It's gone beyond just a dream now.
Morning, Albert.
Hey, George.
You take care, mate.
Farmer George Pedley regularly drives past his neighbor's lagoon. But today he comes across a surprise visitor.
This thing was literally right in front of him and scared the bejesus out of him when it rose up.
He described it as two saucers inverted, touching rim to rim, with a protuberance on the top as well as on the bottom, and apparently metallic looking.
The object seemed to be about 30 feet in diameter, approximately about 9 feet to 10 feet in height. This case really stood out big time because it's no longer a light in the sky or something seen at night. This is broad daylight, clear morning.
And then It goes up again, about another 25 feet. And from there, at a 45-degree angle, takes off, almost in the blink of an eye, at great speed. I think for George, there was an element of absolute shock.
George was in a real fix here because he'd been somewhat negative about other people in the area reporting UFO sightings. Now, it's something that happened to other people, but now he's in a real bind.
Albert! Albert! You ain't gonna believe what I just saw.
I know.
Albert Pennisi was amazed, but at the same time he was somewhat unsurprised in a bizarre kind of way because he had these recurring dreams. One of the unusual features that figures in the Tully case, and it's seen in cases around the world, is this recurring feature of what seems to be like a precognitive kind of dream effect. And it often occurs in these close encounter cases where there's some awareness of something that's about to happen. But George and Albert were dumbfounded by what they found. They were seeing this, what like a floating pontoon or a mass of tightly interwoven swordgrass, about 30 feet wide, resting on the top of the lagoon, and it was swirling in a clockwise direction.
Looks like a nest made of swordgrass.
Albert rushes back home to get his camera.
For Albert, this dream seems to be coming true for him. It's happening before his very eyes.
The nest-shaped object is roughly the same size as the saucer George claims he saw earlier.
There was a definite rim around the swordgrass where the grass was pushed down lower into the water, and the rest of the grass was up higher, as if an inverted saucer, if you like, had pressed down on top of the grass.
George was a very determined kind of guy. He really wanted absolute evidence.
George decides to go into the lagoon to investigate.
It's not something that you would do readily, enter the water without some due caution, because you had hazards, natural hazards in the area, and those hazards include crocodiles and also taipan snakes, a pretty deadly species and a fairly aggressive species.
As George descends, Albert returns with his camera.
George determined that there were 3 indentations, or what appeared to be 3 equally spaced indentations where the roots of the swordgrass had been pulled up. Could this have been the tripod, landing, arms of a flying saucer or something like that?
The word got around very quickly in the local community that something had happened. In fact, the police came onto the scene within the first 48 hours, and they started an investigation.
The Tully saucer nest is examined in minute detail. Samples of reeds, mud, and water from the nest area are submitted to the Queensland University Botany and Physics departments, but no unusual elements are discovered. The Australian Air Force investigates and concludes that a willy-willy, or circular wind phenomenon, flattened the reeds and sucked up debris 30 feet into the air, forming the appearance of a flying saucer. Such powerful wind phenomenon occur regularly in the area, but the weather on January 19th was calm and sunny. Over the following years, Albert Pennisi continues to find nests in his lagoon. In 1969, determined to find the cause, he sets up a motion-sensitive camera. Once the camera is tripped, the film is mailed to Kodak for analysis. But when the canister is returned, it's empty. George Pedley never sees another saucer again.